Dear teacher, this e-learning course is designed for you to gain the knowledge about the work-based learning process and how you can adapt it in your everyday lectures in the schools. The e-learning course is of huge importance for countries like Macedonia, Greece, Bulgaria, and Turkey, where the dual education system is not yet well developed. Hence, this e-learning course for teachers will help you, the teachers, to learn the process of the dual education system in Western European countries, to see the benefits of it and to try to implement it in your everyday work with students. This e-learning course is guidance for the teachers. The e-course is easy to use and the instructions are easy to follow. We use a short video learning format in which a series of videos are designed on the work-based learning topics. The series of videos are divided in 3 phases. 1. The job interview. 2. Work-based learning period, or internship or apprenticeship. And 3. The evaluation. 1. The job interview. The job interview is an interview done between a potential employer and a job applicant. Usually, the job applicant applies for a job on an open call. In terms of the work-based learning process, the job applicant would be the student. The student usually doesn't apply on an open call, but through his or her educational premises on the available positions for doing the work-based learning process. The employer reviews all received applications, CVs, motivational letters, and decides who should be invited back for an interview. How do we identify and select the young people to join the VET work-based learning period, internship or apprenticeship? To identify and select young people, we need to know their personal details. Our professional criteria for the selection of the VET WBL students is divided into 4 sections. 1. Personal details. For example, the age of the student, usually 14 to 24 years of age, their name, address, etc. 2. Compliance with the minimum working requirements. For example, good scores on math, national language, or another language, economy or other relevant subjects. 3. Attitudes and behavior. The following attitudes and behavior are important for a student when choosing the work-based learning process. These include adaptability, autonomy, critical thinking, initiative, interest in the job, interpersonal and organizational skills, punctuality, responsibility, resilience, and willingness to learn. 4. Knowledge and technical skills. In regards to knowledge and technical skills, we have defined adequate use of working tools, dexterity, ease, in speed and performance, knowledge, applying knowledge or knowledge application, and technical language fluency, as well as problem solving. The attitudes and behavior and knowledge and technical skills of a student should comply to a minimum basic level, at least level 3 on a scale of 1 to 5. It's allowed to have 2 negatives overall, except in the part attitudes and behavior. After you select the students for doing the VET work-based learning course, you need to prepare them for the upcoming job interview. Firstly, they need to present themselves through their CV and motivational letter. Step 1. In the profile section, a short section presenting the student name, surname, date of birth, address, and whether he or she has a driving license. At the upper left corner, the student can post a photo of himself, herself, if he or she wants to. Step 2. In the education and training section, they have to emphasize the honors that they have been awarded, all that constitutes a small plus in the student's educational formation. Step 3. In the professional experience section, there's not much to write about here, so he or she could list the various tasks they have been assigned. If the student does not have work experience, he or she should include his or her internships abroad. Step 4. In the miscellaneous or other section, a small section that serves to put personal qualities and passions forward, such as a sport, hobby, attendance at museums, or membership of any club, for example. If the student has an affinity with the recruiter or he or she arouses their curiosity, this topic can make all the difference. Motivational letter. It is important for the students to know how to write motivational letters. Since they are too young and unexperienced on the labor market, they have to focus on the school, the subjects they study, and they have to try to relate their interest of a subject at school with the main area of working in a company. At first glance, the student should focus on the following steps in order to write a motivational letter. Include the basics. Date. Write the full date, like 7th of November, 2023. Who is the student writing to? Write the person's title, name, and address. Make sure it's all correct. Greeting. Start with Dear and the person's name or title, like Dear Mr. Smith. The student has to write about what makes them unique. The letter should be split into short parts. The student starts by stating the position or program the student is interested in, then explains his or her motivations, highlights his or her qualifications, skills, and relevant experiences that make him or her an ideal candidate. The student needs to be specific and provide examples that support his or her claims. The student gives concrete examples of what he or she has done or studied, and why it is relevant for his or her work-based learning process. He or she needs to be prepared to know the basics about the company. The student must have initial knowledge about the company where he or she applies for work-based learning, what type of company it is, and what is the main area of working, where are the company's premises, etc. The student has to make sure to explain why he or she has applied for the role. If it is part of the work-based learning period at school, then the student has to highlight this. Also, he or she needs to explain why he or she chose the exact company for the WBL period. The student has to express why he or she is the best for the job. If there are other students applying for the same company, the student must know what makes him or her unique in order to obtain the internship in that company. End the letter. Finish with words like sincerely or thank you. This shows that the student is thankful for their time. It needs to be signed. If it's a paper letter, the student has to leave space to sign his or her name. If it's an email, he or she doesn't need the space. The students always have to type their full name on the letter, whether it's on paper or on email. This shows it's really from them and they agree with what is written. If the student sends other documents with a letter, like a CV, it needs to be mentioned with the words, enclosures, CV, application. In emails, they just say that there are added attachments. Students, it is normal to experience anxiety going into an interview, especially if this is their first time. Research shows that some degree of stress is helpful to make students engaged and prepared, but too much stress can negatively affect their performance. For example, stress may cause the student to fidget, such as tapping their leg, to blush, and to stutter. Taking a few deep breaths helps to calm us down. Body language is important in an interview. Make sure to sit without your arms folded and to try and keep eye contact. When we are nervous, sometimes we may hunch our shoulders or sit in positions that close us off. By facing the other person directly and by keeping an open stance, we show that we are confident. When it comes to your speech, make sure to elaborate on your responses and to avoid yes or no answers. Coming prepared with some responses by practicing frequent interview options beforehand is a good way of minimizing stress and uncertainty during the actual interview. After an interview, students may find themselves reflecting on what did not go well. It is common to experience this self-criticism. Try to recall some of the more positive aspects from the interview, and be sure to thank the interviewer for their time and consideration. Possible questions which might be asked during the interview. 1. What are your plans following high school? 2. In what ways will work-based learning help you? 3. What are your plans to participate in activities during your final year at high school? 4. Are you currently a member of a student organization? Why or why not? 5. What subjects do you find most enjoyable? 6. Where did you first hear about the work-based learning? 7. What do you want to do to earn a living? 8. How do you learn outside of the classroom? 9. What courses do you plan to take next year? 10. Do you have a preference of where you would like to work? 11. Do you have any questions for me or for the work position?